Ok, alors welcome to the new episode of a Thought Experiment.
Welcome to episode 20 of a Thought Experiment. I'd like to start today with a little breathing practice that we can all do together no matter where you are or what you're doing. The first thing that we can do is just begin to connect the mind to the heart. So you might ask, how do I do that? Well, we can just start to place a little bit of our awareness on our heart center, somewhere around the heart. Then we can exhale all of the air out of our lungs, bringing your navel to your spine, drawing upwards, allowing all the air to be free. Now we'll take a gentle inhale through the nose. Fill up, and then we'll just hold there. And as we hold, we can just start to center our awareness around the heart, connecting the mind to the heart. Feeling it open up, expand, and then we'll just exhale again, bringing your navel to your spine, drawing in and up. Now we'll hold. You'll hold in this empty position, again bringing the awareness that you have inward towards your heart. You can do this eyes open, eyes closed. Makes no difference. We're just drawing attention inward to the heart center. Now again, we'll fill up through the nose, expanding the belly, expanding the ribs. And just hold in this full position. Top of your head being pulled towards the sky. If you're seated or standing, you're rooted down. Bringing your awareness to your heart expanding. Think about the heart expanding, opening up. Opening up possibilities, what could be. And then we're just going to exhale again. Through the mouth or through the nose. There's not a huge difference. At the bottom of the exhale, you can just hold. And again, in this liminal state, you can bring your awareness to your heart. Connecting the mind to the heart, opening up possibilities, opening up your mind and heart for potentially the information or anything you might use or learn as we move forward in the podcast. Let's go through one more cycle. So we're going to inhale, fill up, expand the belly, move it up into the chest, and we're just going to hold in this full position. Fully oxygenated, healthy, connected, mind connected to the heart here. You can begin to feel the energy that your heart is expanding into the rest of your body, into the field around you. And we'll just exhale with control out the mouth, out the nose. Again, bringing the navel up to the spine and holding at the bottom. And as we hold, allow the spine to grow long, mind and heart connected, mind and body connected, centered, aware, happy, healthy, and release. You can come back to your normal breathing pattern. Give yourself a moment to just settle in. And as you settle in, I want to highlight a quote from a book that I recently read by Carl Jung. The quote reads, "When we choose to embark on journeys of self-examination, we inherently deem ourselves worthy of serious attention and sympathetic interest." So just even in that slight breathing practice right there, you're choosing to embark on a journey inwards of self-examination, deeming yourself worthy of serious attention and sympathetic interest. And it starts internally. So now as we're in this connected state, we'll highlight the word from this week, which is eclectic, one of my favorite words. Eclectic can be defined as deriving ideas, styles, or taste from a broad and diverse range of sources. An additional definition is composed of elements drawn from various sources, systems, or styles. So you can see within the word eclectic is this wide range. Now we can look at that on the micro level, which is yourself, or the macro level, which is our external environment. Now within this wide range, we begin to create internal knowledge of ourself. And you can think of clouds. Think of clouds. It's a nice day here in Germany right now. And let's see, there's really not that many clouds out. But if you were to imagine clouds, we've all, spent days just staring at them. You can remember that, clouds form and then they're going to evaporate and then they'll reform. And it's the continual process of invention. I think that eclecticism, or the word eclectic, really goes hand in hand with the formation and the movement of clouds and their patterning and the natural invention that they continue to evolve. Form, evaporate, reform. That's what we're continually doing on a moment by moment basis. And eclectic invites change, right? We take the analogy of the clouds are consistent, they're always changing. Well, if we can be accepting of ourselves in this process of change, well, then we can grow. And growth seems to be a fundamental for any human to be happy. Growth, change leads to happiness. I think that's just a simple fact. And so the ability to invite change through a wide range of sources, we go into the unknown and we touch on all these little different things and we see what sticks at the end, what resonates with us, what challenges us. And through those experiences, we inherently now have this eclectic range to choose from, to grow from. Eclectic is in tune with the unconscious, where the spirit, in Sanskrit, the word Atman, where it speaks to us. So if spirit speaks to us through the unconscious, when we're in this eclectic state, or when you have this wide range, now we're more in tune with the unconscious. We're able to listen. You just opened, some of the heart center up through that breathing practice right there. Okay, now we are able to better tune in to being magnetized towards what chooses us. And lastly, eclecticism is bound by nothing. Think of the clouds in the sky. Well, we know that there's no edge to the universe. The universe has no edge. So the clouds, they're not bound by anything. They're just in these formations that are continually changing. Form, evaporate, reform. And if we can, bring that down on the micro level to ourselves and be accepting of change, form, evaporate, reform, well, then those past experiences that we selectively draw from, they no longer stick to us. It's just from one moment to the next, and we're able to continually progress on this journey of exploration. And as we continually progress on the journey of exploration, we inherently have this eclectic range to draw from. When someone, I think one of the best compliments you can be given is when someone calls you eclectic. Whenever in my life I've been called eclectic by somebody, I take that as one of the highest compliments, just a wide range of sources. And from that wide range, you have your spine, right? Which is your center. Your spine is your center. Okay, well, from this wide range, now all of these options orbit around the spine. But we're always rooted in the spinal center. We just now have this wide range to draw from, and we see what sticks, what resonates with us. And as we create better internal knowledge, self-understanding, well, then we're better able to choose and decipher what sticks to us and what doesn't stick. Now, on the topic of a wide range of sources, I pride myself on being someone who is willing to go into the unknown. I'm willing to seek and be magnetized towards things that have no certainty. I enjoy that. I very much enjoy that. And for the past 5 years, really since COVID, I would say, I have considered myself to be a spiritual individual. When people ask me if I am religious or anything like that, I would always say spiritual, because saying that I believe in God, well, it's a heavy word. God is a heavy word. It's become a heavy word, especially in Western culture. So creating this bubble around me of safety, I would just say spiritual, because it was easier, it resonated a little better, you wouldn't get some looks, and I went with that wording. And for me, it was a belief in universal powers and synchronicities and signs and all these things, and I would just categorize that in the space of spirit. And it wasn't until 2023, I have always experienced a lot of synchronicities in my life. And if you don't know what a synchronicity is, a synchronicity can be defined as an event that takes place that it cannot be defined as just coincidental. It is of a higher power. It's something that you can't just define as coincidence, as random. And so I think the story that I'm going to lead into is going to shed some light on a synchronicity, maybe. So 2023, we go through, the season. I'm in AA with the Royals. And I was playing, every year in professional baseball, went where I wasn't playing a lot to playing a lot. And then if it stuck, it stuck. If it didn't, it didn't. You have the draft, you have guys moving up, all these other things. And I was at a point in the year where we had just called up a number of prospects. So I went from playing every day to like the sixth infielder, not playing a lot at all. And I was going through a period of just uncertainty. I was really uncertain with what I was supposed to do. Was I supposed to keep playing? Was I not supposed to keep playing? Where am I being guided here? What is the message? And I was really struggling on a day-to-day basis with just the internal questioning of, okay, where am I headed? I'm not playing. I'm not particularly enjoying what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. And because I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, I'm staying up later at night. So game gets over, I'm staying up, watching YouTube videos of Alan Watts talk and just kind of questioning my own consciousness and unconsciousness. And it wasn't until I actually saw a short video of Andrew Huberman talking, and he was talking about God, but he was specifically talking about praying, something I had never done. He defined it in the way that praying is simply the acknowledgement of something greater than yourself. Okay, so when he said it like that, I was like, oh man, all right. Interesting. So I sat down one morning and I prayed for the first time. I had never before in my life prayed. And I just prayed for some sign, like, what am I supposed to be doing? And I remember the feeling of putting my hands together and my head down, and it was a humbling feeling because it was that acknowledgement that there is something greater out there as soon as I made that motion. And I just asked, what am I supposed to be doing? Give me a sign. Show me where I'm supposed to go, please. And once you show me, I promise I'll go at it with, full integrity and effort. And so I got done and didn't think much of it. And then not any more than 3 hours later, I get a call from the manager of the AA team. And he says, hey, you're moving up to AAA. I mean, I get chills talking about it now because that's a synchronicity. Those two things they cannot be random. That is the universe providing exactly what I had asked for in that instance. But even after that, I was still reluctant to the idea of religion. I believed that to be a synchronicity in the spiritual realm. And I think this is because growing up, I always held on to this idea that God was a form, right? God was a person in the sky with a cane looking down on everyone, judging who was sinning and not sinning, doing right and wrong. That is the idea that I had in my head. I had him in this physical form. And so it wasn't until maybe a month ago that I'm reading that same Carl Jung book, which I pulled the quote from to start the episode. And he starts talking about the belief of God. And he lays it very simply that whether you choose to believe in God or don't choose to believe, you are choosing to believe in something that cannot be seen. Wow, okay. Well, I believe I'm spiritual. I believe in all these synchronicities that have occurred for me, the powers that are greater than me, signs, symbols. And it was when I read that I thought, well, I've never even, been to church. Okay. So right after that, I found a church in Munich, an English speaking church. And I had to, like a cloud, evaporate this physical idea that I had of what God was. Well, I believe in the Spirit. Okay, well, for me, that's just how I now see God being, is just a spirit in everything. And even using the word He, I think, tries to quantify what the Spirit is, what God is. And I think, that all goes along with creating this physical idea. So if I can eliminate the physical properties that I have in my mind of what I think God is and just allow it to be, the wind, the trees, the rain, the sun, the snow, every cell within me, around me, well, then, of course, I believe in God. And so I went to an English-speaking church in Munich. And talk about synchronicities. I got there a few hours early and I was going to go to this coffee shop, right? So the coffee shop is full. Okay, well, I'll just wait. It's raining outside, I'll wait. Well, this big group gets up from a table and leaves. And it's me and another guy that are waiting there. He was there before me, so he goes in, he sits at this big table by himself, which is fine. I'll just wait for the next one. He comes out, asks me if I want to sit with him. Yeah, of course. He said he's waiting on some people. That's fine. So we get to talking. He is from Regensburg, which is where I live. He's studying, he's getting a PhD in chemistry. But the crazier part is that we had both been on the same train that morning from Regensburg. And the train, well, now that I think about it, it's even crazier. The train left at 9:51, which maybe people have numbers that follow them around in the world. 9:51 is a set of numbers that continually follows me around. This guy we sit at the table, start talking. He's from Regensburg. I'm from Regensburg. We're an hour and a half away in Munich at a random coffee shop. And he just so happened to invite me to sit down. Well, and it's on a day where I'm headed to an environment that I've never been to before. I'm headed into this unknown. I don't know what goes on at a English-speaking Christian church in Munich. I have no idea. And I took that as a synchronicity that, I am supposed to go to this place today, 100%. That's the universal signs of synchronicities pointing you, It's like putting a little treadmill beneath your feet, kind of just like, yeah, you're going the right way. And so I, had coffee, went to the church, and what I took away from the church is that, one, the pastor's ability to take passages from the Bible and apply them into real world application is absolutely beautiful. I think that was one of the most beautiful parts of the whole experience. And, people talk about people talk about this Holy Spirit. What is the Holy Spirit? Well, I started to think about, what did I feel in this church? What did I feel while I was there? And what I took away was I felt community. And in community, there is humility. Because, humility isn't about thinking less of yourself. It's about thinking of yourself less. Well, the entire time I spent in this church, never once did I think of myself. I wasn't thinking at all. I was just in the experience. And that feeling of humility goes all the way back to the first time that I prayed. And so if humility can be found in the belief of God, well, then it seems perfectly right for me to believe in God. I'm by no means telling anyone to believe any certain type of way. I'm just telling you about my own experiences, headed into places that are unknown, that were uncomfortable, And I never went to the church thinking, I'm going to believe one thing or another. I was just so open to what could be. And I think that's why I had such a great experience. There was just such a strong sense of community. A coach that I recently started talking with sent me a quote that was, "The people we perceive as humble are in actuality happy and overly interested in you." And that resonates so much, because think about when you talk to someone that is overly interested in you. They are in such a place of peace internally that they're able to be overly interested in someone else. And so, you trace it back. This begins with the inner work, the work that, we just did for 5 minutes at the start of this episode, just connecting inward and going on the journey of self-examination. The acceptance that we're not, in no means are we perfect. Am I perfect? No way. And it's the encouragement of that understanding, the encouragement of, I'm not perfect, but I'm willing to change, and I'm not changing to try to be perfect. I'm just changing to grow. That's it. And it's in that understanding, okay, well, I can grow in becoming more interested in others, and in being more interested in others, I gain humility internally, and I grow community. We grow this spirit. Right? It's the same thing as a team that's competing together on a high level. It's the same belief that, we're in this collective consciousness that we believe we can win. Nothing has shown us that we can win this game. We've won games in the past. We've lost games in the past, but we all believe we're in this collective consciousness. And in that space, we're not thinking of ourselves. We're thinking of the group, the tribe, the collective. And that brings me to a audio recording that this coach that I started working with sent me, and it was entirely about purpose versus personality. We have purpose and we have personality. Purpose produces energy. Purpose allows us to see through the lens of what could be, of opportunity, of seeing tools around us all the time. Purpose is unshakable. It's rooted. It's grounded. It is the spine. Purpose is open to the voice of spirit, to the unconscious, to what could be, to belief. Purpose says, I'm up to something. I'm up to something big, exciting, amazing. Purpose is always open to self-discovery, to growth, to improvement, and to change. And in purpose is single-minded. It's simple. We have our purpose. It is what produces energy. It is in us forever. It's a friend to us. Purpose is a friend to us. It never leaves. We're always able to stay rooted in the purpose. And when we're in our purpose, we're able to expand and create this eclectic energy, this eclectic range of sources. But we're always rooted within the purpose because, we're always looking at what could be. We're looking for different tools that could aid purpose, right? Then you have personality. Okay, well, personality is the false self. Personality needs others to change for me to be happy. I need everything in my environment to be perfectly right in my eyes for me to be happy. The environment needs to change, not me. And personality lives in a place of hurt feelings because it's connected to the ego, to the conscious mind is where personality lives. You have purpose. Purpose lives in our spirit, in our heart, in the unconscious, in the powers that are greater than us. It's a calling. Personality resides in the conscious mind, the ego, trying to control, constantly feeling slighted because personality is scared. Personality is scared of change. Personality sees me, in quotations, as the most important thing. And that is, of course, because it's ran by the ego. It sees me as the biggest thing. So why would I change if I'm the most important thing? You have purpose versus personality. And it's applicable both on the individual level and on a team, on a group, on a tribal level. We're headed into the playoffs here in Germany, and you can look at it two different ways. You could look at it in the collective purpose. Do we have a collective purpose? Is my purpose to become the best player I can be for the team and help them in any way possible over the next, 2.5 weeks to win this championship? My ultimate purpose, as I, listen to this recording that was given to me, my ultimate purpose is to help others become the absolute best version of themselves. I started to think about all the subconscious things that I've pursued, done, am doing, because subconscious, it's coming from my spirit. It's this podcast. It's the breathwork, yoga, everything that I've tried for myself and grown internally so that, I can have this eclectic range of things, flow style workouts, different workout styles, different meditations, all of these things. And now I'm able to have this eclectic range so that when I meet and come into contact with different individuals, now I have this eclectic range. Every person is so different that if I have a wide range of eclectic tools that I can potentially offer to someone as far as, hey, try this and maybe it'll help you, well, then I'm better suited to help the collective, to help the community, to help the tribe. And I've been guilty of being rooted in personality. And as I was listening to this audio recording, and I started to think of times where I've been rooted in personality, it's the false self. It's the belief that I am the most important thing. Well, that's dragging. That has a finite amount of energy. It is extremely tiring. Purpose is limitless. Purpose sees no edges. Well, the universe has no edges. We know that we don't know that there's an end. And it's the same way in my purpose, in our purpose, and whatever your purpose is. It's able to expand as far as your imagination will take it. Well, if I continue to grow and I continue to seek change and be open to change and new experiences and new endeavors, well, then I can continue to grow. I can continue to expand upon what I believe is possible. And as we wind down this episode, the book, one of the books I'm reading right now is The Way of Zen by Alan Watts. And he has this passage in the book that I thought was just so beautiful. And I've thought about it the past few days, and I just want to share it as we start to wind down this episode So maybe for a moment before we do that, we can just tap back into the mind and the heart. So let's we can just connect the mind and the heart. And we can imagine the heart sitting there in a stable environment. Just start to expand our openness of the heart. So the first thing we can do, we can drop out the breath and we can just let all the air out. So drawing the navel up to the spine, in and up. Just letting it go through the mouth, through the nose, in this emptiness. Now you're going to inhale, fill up. Feel that you're breathing through the heart. We're taking air directly into the heart. This fresh oxygen. Inhale. And we're going to hold there. Hold there. The heart is full here. Your connected mind to heart. Heart is full. It's expanding. It's sending energy outward. Okay, now we're going to drop out, controlled, out the mouth, out the nose. It makes no difference. We're just going to draw the navel back up to the spine, growing taller, feeling the top of your head go towards the sky, wherever we're rooted, going into the ground. We're elongating the body. Okay, now we're going to sit in this empty space for a moment. Heart is open, calm, whole. Okay, now we're just going to drop out. You can return to your normal breathing pattern, allowing yourself to just be open, mindful, aware. And just allow yourself to enjoy the words of Alan Watts through my voice. He says in quotes, "We can, for example, imagine the path of a bird through the sky as a distinct line, which it has taken. But this line is as abstract as a line of latitude. In concrete reality, the bird has left no line. And similarly, the past from which our ego is abstracted has entirely disappeared. Thus, any attempt to cling to the ego or to make it an effective source of action is doomed to frustration." So just as we can imagine a bird flying through the sky, well, there's no line. It's not like a plane. Planes aren't natural, they're man-made. So think of something natural, a bird. Just as it goes through the sky, it leaves no line behind it. Well, that's the same in our endeavors every single day, moving from one moment to the next. We don't have this line behind us that got us. Our ego is made up of a selective collection of memories that we choose to believe that is us. Okay, well, that's not me, that's not me, that's not me. Oh, I'm going to pick that one. Yeah, that's me. I'm going to pick that experience. Yeah, that's me. I'll pick that one over there. Yeah, that's me. No, that one's not me. And then I have this abstract idea, this falsified idea of what I am, what the ego is. When in actuality is, if nothing from the past follows me, well then at the same time that I can be everything, I can also be nothing, which relates directly back to the idea of God. All, everywhere, all the time, in everything. I just thought that was a beautiful, beautiful quote. Thus, any attempt to cling to the ego or make it an effective source of action, of course it would be an ineffective source of action. It has a finite amount of energy. It's falsified. It's the false self. It's rooted in personality. Is doomed to frustration. Rather, if we just allow ourselves to simply be, well, we can be rooted in our purpose. And our purpose speaks to us through the collective, through the unconscious, through the spirit, through the Atman. And so saying all of this, bringing it all back around, we can finish with a very, very simple question. What is your purpose? That concludes episode 20 of A Thought Experiment.